The voicemail from her mother had been 3 minutes of sighing punctuated by reminders that Clara's sister really needed help with the wedding planning. And wasn't it strange how Clara always seemed too busy for family? Clara Fielding sat in her cramped apartment that evening, staring at her phone like it might transform into something less accusatory. She was 26 years old and felt 70. The weight pressing on her chest had been there so long she had forgotten what breathing freely felt like. Outside her window, the city hummed with Friday night energy, but she would spend tonight organizing her sister's bridal shower details instead of meeting her friends for drinks. Again, she had already canceled on them twice this month. Soon they would stop asking. The apartment around her told the story of a life put on hold. Unpacked boxes still lined one wall from when she moved in 8 months ago. Her degree in graphic design hung unframed, leaning against the bookshelf. She worked as an administrative assistant at a manufacturing company, answering phones and filing paperwork, because the position offered regular hours and the kind of predictability her mother approved of. Her portfolio gathered dust in a drawer. Her phone buzzed. Another text from her mother. "Your father's back is acting up again. Can you come by tomorrow to help with the yard work? Your brother is too busy with his new job." Of course he was. Marcus was always too busy, too important, too male to be expected to drop everything. Clara typed out a response confirming she would be there at 8 in the morning, then set the phone face down on her coffee table. The wedding binder her sister Danielle had given her sat open on the couch, pink tabs marking sections that required Clara's immediate attention. Seating charts. Favors. A comparison spreadsheet of 3 different florists that needed to be completed by Sunday. Danielle had her own job, her own life, and a fiancé who apparently could not help with any wedding tasks because he worked long hours in finance. Clara worked long hours too, but somehow that never counted. She ordered takeout and worked through the binder until midnight, her eyes burning. When she finally crawled into bed, she dreamed of ropes wound so tightly around her wrists that her hands had gone numb. Saturday morning arrived cold and gray. Clara drove the 40 minutes to her parents' house in the suburbs, stopping for coffee that went cold in her cup holder while she sat in traffic. The house looked the same as it always did, a modest 2-story with shutters her father repainted every 3 years like clockwork. Her mother's garden beds needed mulching. The grass needed cutting. The gutters probably needed cleaning. Her mother opened the door before Clara could knock, already wearing her martyred expression. "Oh good, you're here. Your father is in so much pain, but you know how he is. Won't rest. I told him to wait for you." "Hi, Mom, how are you?" Her mother waved the question away like smoke. "Busy, overwhelmed. You know how it is. Come in, come in. Did you finish the florist research? Danielle is getting anxious." "I'm still working on it. I'll have it done by tomorrow." "Tomorrow?" Her mother's eyebrows lifted. "She needed it today, Clara. She's making decisions." "You know how important this wedding is." Important to whom, Clara wanted to ask but did not. She followed her mother inside where her father sat in his recliner watching a baseball game. He looked fine. His back always acted up when there was yard work to be done. "Hey, Dad." "Clara." "Good, good." "The mower is in the shed. Should not take you more than an hour. Your mother wants the beds mulched too. There are bags in the garage." 4 hours later, Clara was covered in grass clippings and dirt, her shoulders aching. Her mother brought her a glass of water and a list of additional tasks. Could she reorganize the basement? Her old room needed cleaning out, and had she thought about what she was wearing to the engagement party next month? She really should lose a few pounds before then. The dress code was cocktail attire. Clara drove home as the sun set, her jaw tight. She had not eaten lunch. Her Saturday was gone, and she had promised her mother she would come back on Sunday to help clean out the basement because apparently that could not wait either. On Monday morning, Clara arrived at work 15 minutes early, as she always did. Thornton Manufacturing occupied a sprawling facility on the industrial edge of the city, a place that smelled like metal and machine oil. The administrative offices were separated from the factory floor by a long hallway and a heavy door that muffled the sound of production. She settled at her desk outside the executive offices, booting up her computer and checking the day's schedule. Her boss, the operations director, had meetings until noon. The afternoon would be consumed by a site visit from the CEO, which meant everyone had been running around for a week making sure everything looked perfect. Clara had never met the CEO. Nathan Kane was a figure who existed in emails and company-wide announcements, a name attached to quarterly reports and strategic initiatives. She knew he was young for a CEO, somewhere in his early 30s, and that he had taken over the company from his father 5 years ago. Under his leadership, Thornton Manufacturing had doubled in size, expanding into new markets and acquiring 2 smaller competitors. She also knew that people were slightly afraid of him. He was exacting, detail-oriented, and did not tolerate excuses. The operations director had been on edge all week. At precisely 2 o'clock, a cluster of executives swept through the hallway, and Clara caught her first glimpse of Nathan Kane. He was tall, broad-shouldered, wearing a charcoal suit that probably cost more than her monthly rent. Dark hair, sharp features, and an expression of focused intensity as he listened to something the operations director was saying. He moved with the kind of confidence that came from always being the most powerful person in any room. They disappeared into the conference room. Clara returned to her work, processing a stack of expense reports that had been sitting in her inbox for days. An hour later, her phone rang. "Clara Fielding, this is Nathan Kane." The voice was deep, direct. "I need you to pull the production reports from the last 6 months and bring them to the conference room. Also, the vendor contracts for raw materials. You have 15 minutes. The line went dead before she could respond. Clara's heart kicked into overdrive. She scrambled to locate the reports, pulling files from the shared drive and printing contracts from the file cabinets. Her hands shook slightly as she organized everything into folders. At 14 minutes, she knocked on the conference room door. "Come in." She entered to find Nathan Kane alone, his suit jacket draped over a chair, his shirt sleeves rolled to his elbows. He stood at the head of the table, papers spread in front of him like he was planning a military campaign. When he looked up, his eyes were a striking gray, sharp and assessing. "Set them here." He gestured to the table. Clara placed the folders down, acutely aware of how rumpled she must look compared to his crisp perfection. "Is there anything else you need?" "Not yet." He was already flipping through the first report, his attention elsewhere. She turned to leave. "Wait." His voice stopped her at the door. "What's your name again?" "Clara Fielding." "How long have you worked here, Clara?" 8 months, he nodded, still reading. "You were fast, thorough. Most people would have missed half these contracts, thank you." It was a dismissal, but something about it felt different than the casual disregard she was used to. He had noticed, he had paid attention. "You're welcome," she said and slipped out. That night her phone rang during dinner. Her mother. Clara let it go to voicemail, then immediately felt guilty and called back. "Oh, Clara, finally. I've been trying to reach you. I just missed your call by 2 minutes, Mom." "Well, I need you to do something. Danielle is having a crisis. The bridesmaids' dresses came in the wrong color. She's beside herself. Can you go to the bridal shop tomorrow after work and sort it out? Tomorrow I have plans." A pause. Then, in that particular tone, "Plans. Yes, I'm meeting Emma for dinner. Emma will understand if you need to reschedule. Your sister is falling apart. You know how stressful wedding planning is. She needs you. Clara closed her eyes. The familiar guilt wrapped around her ribs like constricting bands. Danielle needed her. Her mother needed her. Her father's back needed her. Everyone needed her, and what kind of daughter, what kind of sister would put her own plans first? Fine, she heard herself say. I'll go. You're a lifesaver. I don't know what we'd do without you. Clara hung up and texted Emma to cancel. Emma sent back a sad face emoji and a message saying they really needed to catch up soon. Clara knew they would not reschedule. This was how friendships died, slowly, through 1,000 small cancellations. Over the next 2 weeks, Clara saw Nathan Kane 3 more times. He seemed to be spending more time at the facility, working directly with the operations team on some kind of efficiency initiative. Each time, he was focused, commanding, the kind of presence that made people stand straighter and talk faster. The third time, he stopped by her desk at the end of the day. She was the only one still there, working late to finish a project her boss had dumped on her at 4:45. You're here late, Nathan observed. Clara looked up, startled. He had appeared silently, his jacket slung over one shoulder. Just finishing something. Does that happen often? Does what happen often? Last-minute projects that require you to stay late. She hesitated. Complaining about her boss to the CEO seemed like a spectacularly bad idea. Sometimes, it's not a problem. Nathan's expression suggested he did not believe her, but he did not push. Instead, he glanced at her desk, which was meticulously organized despite the late hour. You were the one who pulled those reports for me. You've been handling the coordination for my site visits too. It was not a question, but she answered anyway. Yes, you're efficient, detail-oriented. He paused, wasted in this position. Before she could formulate a response, he walked away, leaving her staring after him in confusion. That weekend, her mother called with a new emergency. Danielle's engagement party was in 2 weeks, and the caterer had mixed up the dates. Could Clara please spend her Saturday calling around to find a replacement? Also, her parents' anniversary was coming up, and someone needed to organize a family dinner. Marcus was too busy. Danielle was overwhelmed with wedding stress. That left Clara. She spent Saturday on the phone, her ear hot from pressing it against her cell for hours. She found a caterer, booked a restaurant for the anniversary dinner, and drove to her parents' house to drop off some papers her mother needed. While she was there, her father asked her to fix a problem with his computer. Her mother needed help moving furniture. Could she stay for dinner? They never saw her anymore. It was 9 o'clock before Clara escaped, exhausted and hollow. She sat in her car in the driveway for a long moment before starting the engine, watching the warm glow of light from her parents' windows. Inside, they were settling in for the evening, comfortable, their needs met. Outside, Clara felt like she was disappearing. On Monday, Nathan Kane showed up at the facility unannounced, which sent everyone into a quiet panic. He spent the morning on the production floor, then called a meeting of department heads in the afternoon. Clara was asked to sit in and take notes. She watched him command the room with a kind of casual authority that seemed innate. He asked pointed questions, cut through evasions, and pushed for concrete solutions. But he also listened. When someone had a valid concern, he considered it seriously, adjusting his approach. He was demanding, yes, but not cruel. Exacting, but not unfair. Afterward, as the executives filed out, Nathan caught her eye. Clara, a moment. Her stomach fluttered nervously as the room emptied. Nathan gathered his papers, then looked at her directly. I've been reviewing the organizational structure. Your position reports to operations, but you've been handling executive-level coordination. My boss delegates some tasks to me, she said carefully. He delegates his job to you, Nathan corrected. I've been watching. You're doing half his work while he takes credit. How much are they paying you? Heat flooded her face. She named her salary, which sounded even more insulting when said aloud. Nathan's jaw tightened. That's unacceptable. I'm moving you to a new position, executive assistant, reporting directly to me. Double your current salary, effective immediately. If you're going to do this level of work, you should be compensated for it. Clara's mind went blank. What? Unless you're happy where you are. He raised an eyebrow. No, I'm not. The words came out more honest than she intended. Why? Because I don't waste talent and I don't tolerate people being undervalued. He handed her a folder. Details are in here. You start next Monday. We'll be working closely together, so I expect direct communication. If you have concerns, I want to hear them. Understood? Yes. Thank you. Don't thank me. You earned it. He left, leaving Clara holding the folder like it might evaporate. That night, she called her mother to share the news, expecting excitement. Instead, she got hesitation. That's wonderful, honey, but isn't that going to mean longer hours? You're already so busy. It's a big opportunity, Mom. Of course. I just worry. You know Danielle's wedding is in 3 months. There's still so much to do, and your father really depends on you for help around the house. The joy leaked out of Clara like air from a punctured tire. I'll still help. I know you will. You're such a good daughter, not like your brother, always too busy, but you've always been dependable. I'll let you go. Remember, we need you here Sunday for the anniversary planning. Clara hung up and stared at her phone. She had just received a promotion and a massive raise, and instead of celebrating, she felt guilty. Her first week working directly with Nathan was intense. He moved fast, thought faster, and expected her to keep up. But he was also clear in his communication, decisive in his directions, and genuinely appreciative when she delivered results. For the first time in years, Clara felt like her work mattered. On Thursday, they were working late on a presentation for an investor meeting. Nathan was at the conference table in his office, Clara seated across from him with her laptop. They had been at it for 3 hours, tweaking projections and refining talking points. Run the numbers on the expansion timeline again, Nathan said, rubbing his eyes. I want to make sure we're accounting for the construction delays. Clara pulled up the spreadsheet, fingers flying across the keyboard. She recalculated, double-checked, and turned the laptop toward him. If we factor in a 2-month delay, we're still ahead of market projections by 6 months. He studied the screen, then nodded. Good, that's what we'll present. He leaned back, rolling his shoulders. You have a head for this. Have you ever considered project management or operations? I studied graphic design, actually. His eyebrows lifted. Then why are you working administration? It was a fair question. Clara struggled for an answer that did not sound pathetic. It seemed practical, stable. Is that what you wanted, stable? No, she had wanted to build a portfolio, to maybe freelance or work for a design firm. But her mother had worried that was too risky, too uncertain. Her father had suggested she find something steady with benefits. Danielle had said graphic design was a nice hobby but not a real career. So Clara had filed her dreams away and taken the first administrative job she could find. It doesn't matter what I wanted, she said finally. It's what made sense. Nathan was quiet for a moment, studying her with those sharp gray eyes. That's a depressing way to live. The words stung because they were true. Clara looked away, focusing on her screen. I'm not criticizing, he added, his voice softer. I'm observing. You're capable of more than you're settling for, not just here, everywhere. She did not know what to say to that. The conversation moved back to work, but his words echoed in her head for the rest of the night. Friday evening, Clara was packing up when her phone rang. "Danielle." "Clara, thank God. I need you this weekend. The florist is being impossible and I need someone to come with me to beat them into submission. Can you do Saturday morning?" "I can't. I have plans." "What plans?" It was a reasonable question. Clara rarely had plans. "I'm behind on things. I need the weekend to catch up." "Catch up on what?" "Clara, my wedding is in 10 weeks. This is important." The guilt started its familiar climb up Clara's throat. "I know it's important." "Then come with me, please." "Mom's busy, and I can't deal with the florist alone." "They listen to you." Clara closed her eyes. She had been planning to spend Saturday working on her own projects, maybe updating her design portfolio for the first time in 2 years. It was a small thing, a quiet rebellion, but Danielle needed her. "Fine," she heard herself say. "What time?" Saturday morning was spent at the florist, then helping Danielle address invitations, then running to 3 different stores to find specific candles for the centerpieces. By the time Clara got home, it was dark and she was too tired to open her laptop. Sunday, her mother called. Could Clara come help with the anniversary dinner planning? It would only take an hour. It took 4 hours on Monday. Nathan took one look at her and frowned. "Rough weekend. Family stuff. You look exhausted." "I'm fine." She was not fine. She was running on fumes, held together by coffee and obligation. But admitting that felt like weakness. Nathan did not push, but she caught him watching her throughout the day with an expression that might have been concern. The next few weeks blurred together. Clara worked long hours with Nathan, coordinating complex projects and managing high-stakes deadlines. The work was challenging but fulfilling, and she discovered she was good at it. Nathan relied on her judgment, asked for her input, and implemented her suggestions. She felt valued. But outside work, the demands escalated. Danielle's wedding consumed every spare moment. Her mother called daily with new tasks. Her father needed help with household projects every weekend. Marcus remained conveniently unavailable. No one asked if Clara had time or energy or needs of her own. One evening, Clara stayed late working on a report that Nathan needed for an early morning meeting. She was alone in the office, the building quiet around her. Her phone buzzed with texts from her mother. "Where are you? Danielle needs you to call her. Why aren't you answering?" "Clara, this is important." She silenced the phone and kept working. 10 minutes later, Danielle called, then her mother again, then Danielle. Clara turned the phone face down and tried to concentrate. "You're still here." She jumped. Nathan stood in the doorway, dressed more casually than she had ever seen him, jeans and a dark sweater. He must have come back to the office for something, just finishing this report. "It's 8:30. It's due tomorrow." He walked over, glancing at her screen. "I sent you that at 3. I did not expect it tonight. I wanted to get it done." Nathan pulled out the chair beside her and sat down, which surprised her. His presence was less overwhelming outside of business hours, though no less commanding. "Clara, can I ask you something personal?" She tensed. "I guess." "How often do you do things for yourself? Not for work, not for your family. For you?" The question landed like a stone in still water, ripples spreading outward. "I don't know what you mean." "I think you do." His voice was gentle but firm. "In the 6 weeks you've worked for me, you've stayed late every night. You come in on weekends. You never take breaks. And at least 3 times a week, I see you on the phone looking like someone's delivering bad news. Then you work twice as hard afterward, like you're making up for something." Clara's throat tightened. "I have responsibilities. Or people who have convinced you that their needs are always more important than yours." The words hit too close. She looked away, blinking hard. "You don't understand. Then help me understand." She did not mean to tell him. but something about the quiet office and his genuine interest and her own exhaustion loosened the words. She told him about her family, about the endless requests and the guilt, and the feeling that she was being pulled in a dozen directions until there was nothing left of herself. About how she had canceled every plan, abandoned every dream, and lost every friendship because she could not say no. Nathan listened without interrupting. When she finished, her face was wet and she felt humiliated. "Sorry," she muttered, wiping her eyes. "That was unprofessional." "No." It was honest. He was quiet for a moment. "Can I tell you what I see?" she nodded, not trusting her voice. "I see someone capable and intelligent and hardworking. Someone who's been convinced that her only value is in what she can do for others. Your family has trained you to feel guilty for having boundaries. They've made you believe that taking care of yourself is selfish." He leaned forward, his voice intent. "Clara, they're not holding a leash. You are. You're the one who keeps picking up the phone. You're the one who keeps saying yes. They trained you to do it, but you're doing it." The words felt like a slap and a revelation at once. "I don't know how to stop. Start small. Say no to one thing. See what happens. They'll be angry, probably. But anger is temporary. Resentment builds over years." His gray eyes held hers. "You're going to wake up one day and realize you've lived your entire life for other people. Is that what you want? No. God, no." But the alternative terrified her. Nathan stood, pulling a business card from his wallet and writing something on the back. "This is my personal number, not for work. If you need to talk, or if you need someone to remind you that you matter, call me." He left before she could respond. Clara sat alone in the office, holding the card, feeling like something fundamental had shifted. That weekend, her mother called. "Clara, I need you to come help clean out the garage. Your father and I are overwhelmed." Clara looked at her apartment, at the portfolio she had been planning to work on, at the life she had been neglecting. Her heart pounded. "I can't. I have plans." Silence on the other end, then plans. "What plans?" "Personal plans. Clara, this is important. It'll only take a few hours. I'm sorry, but no, not this weekend." "Excuse me." Her mother's voice went cold. "Did you just say no to me?" "I did. I'm sorry, but I need this weekend." "I cannot believe this. After everything we've done for you. Your father is going to be so disappointed. You know how much he depends on you, but fine. Do whatever you want. We'll figure it out ourselves." The call ended abruptly. Clara sat shaking, waiting for the guilt to crush her. It came, a wave of nausea and panic. But underneath it, something else. A tiny spark of lightness. She had said no, and the world had not ended. She picked up her phone and texted Nathan. "I said no. I feel like I'm going to throw up, but I said no." His response came immediately. "Good, that's the hardest one. It gets easier." "Does it?" "Eventually. Proud of you." Clara spent that weekend working on her portfolio. She felt guilty the entire time, but she did it anyway. Monday morning, Nathan called her into his office. "I have a project. The company is rebranding. We need a full design package, logo, marketing materials, website redesign. I've been interviewing firms, but they're all overpriced and generic." He slid a folder across the desk. "I want you to pitch me." Clara blinked. "What? You're a designer. This is design work. Show me what you can do." "Nathan, I haven't done design work in years." "Then it's time to start again. This is a real project with a real budget. If your pitch is good, the job is yours, plus a bonus on top of your salary." She stared at him, something fierce and bright igniting in her chest. "Are you serious?" "I don't joke about business. You have 2 weeks." Clara dove into the project with an intensity she had not felt in years. She worked on concepts during lunch breaks and late into the evenings. Ideas flowed, her creativity awakening like something that had been hibernating. Nathan gave her space but checked in regularly, offering feedback and encouragement. Her family noticed her absence immediately. Her mother called, hurt and confused. Why was not Clara coming over? Why was she suddenly too busy to help? Danielle accused her of being selfish during the most important time of her life. Marcus called to tell her she was upsetting everyone and needed to be more flexible. Each call was harder than the last. The guilt was a physical presence pressing on her chest, but Nathan's words echoed. They're not holding a leash. You are. She started setting boundaries. She could help with the wedding on Sundays only. She was not available for non-emergency family errands. She would attend the anniversary dinner but could not organize it. Her family responded with hurt silences and pointed comments. Her mother told her she had changed and not for the better. Danielle said Clara was being unsupportive. Her father stopped calling altogether. It hurt. God, it hurt. But slowly, Clara started to feel like she could breathe again. 2 weeks later, she presented her rebrand concept to Nathan. She had worked harder on this than anything in her life, pouring herself into every element. The design was bold, modern, capturing the company's evolution while honoring its history. Nathan reviewed her presentation in silence, his expression unreadable. Clara's palms sweated. Finally, he looked up. This is exceptional, not just good. Exceptional, you're hired. Relief and pride surged through her. Really, really. I'll have contracts drawn up. This is going to be a 6-month project, substantial additional compensation. Clara, he smiled, and it transformed his usually serious face. You're talented. I hope you're starting to see that. She was. Slowly, painfully, but she was. Over the following weeks, Clara and Nathan worked closely on the rebrand. Their professional relationship deepened into something warmer, marked by easy conversations and shared coffee breaks. Nathan asked about her family situation regularly, offering perspective when the guilt threatened to overwhelm her. He also started sharing pieces of his own life. He had taken over the company young after his father's sudden death, navigating grief and immense responsibility simultaneously. He understood pressure and expectations and the weight of other people's needs. The difference, he told her one evening, is that I learned to separate what people need from what they demand. Your family doesn't need you to sacrifice your life. They've just gotten used to you doing it. Clara was finding her footing. She maintained boundaries with her family despite the ongoing tension. She threw herself into the rebrand, producing work she was genuinely proud of. And she started noticing the way Nathan looked at her sometimes, something warm in his gray eyes that had nothing to do with business. She noticed too late that she had started dressing more carefully for work, that her pulse kicked up when he walked into a room, that his praise mattered more than it should. One Friday evening, they were reviewing final designs when Nathan leaned back and said, "Come to dinner with me." Clara looked up, startled. "What? Dinner? There's a new restaurant downtown I've been wanting to try. Come with me." "Is this a business dinner?" "No." His gaze was direct, intent. "This is me asking you on a date." Her heart stumbled. "I don't think that's a good idea. You're my boss, I'm aware. I'm also someone who admires you tremendously and would like to spend time with you outside this office. If you're not interested, say so. But if you're worried about professional complications, don't. I would never let a personal relationship affect how I treat you professionally." Clara's mind raced. This was Nathan Kane, the CEO, confident and successful and intimidatingly capable. Why would he be interested in her? As if reading her thoughts, he said quietly, "I've watched you find your strength over these past months. I've seen you grow into yourself. You're brilliant and brave, and you have no idea how extraordinary you are. So yes, I'm interested. Very interested." The words melted something inside her. Okay, yes, dinner, I'd like that." His smile was bright and genuine, Tomorrow night, I'll pick you up at 7. That night, Clara stared at her closet in panic, trying to figure out what one wore to dinner with a CEO. She called Emma, who she had been slowly rebuilding her friendship with. "Oh my God, Clara, you're going on a date with your boss. Is that insane? It's amazing. He sounds incredible and hot. Is he hot?" Clara thought of Nathan's strong features, his commanding presence, the way he looked at her like she mattered. "Yes, very." "Then stop panicking and enjoy it. You deserve this." Saturday evening, Nathan arrived exactly at 7, wearing dark slacks and a deep blue shirt that made his eyes striking. He looked at Clara, taking in her simple black dress and heels, and smiled. "You look beautiful." No one had called her beautiful in longer than she could remember. "Thank you." "You look nice too." Dinner was at an upscale Italian place with intimate lighting and excellent wine. They talked easily, the conversation flowing from work to books to childhood memories. Nathan told her about growing up with enormous expectations, learning the business from the ground up, and the loneliness of leadership. "Everyone wants something from you," he said. "Approval, money, decisions. It's hard to know who sees you versus who sees what you can do for them." "That's how I've felt my whole life," Clara admitted. "Like I'm just a collection of services. You're not. You're a person with needs and wants and dreams. Anyone who can't see that doesn't deserve access to you." The words settled into her chest, warm and affirming. After dinner, they walked along the riverfront, the city lights reflecting on the water. Nathan took her hand, his palm warm against hers. It felt natural, right? "I need to tell you something," he said. "I'm not good at casual. If we do this, I'm all in. I don't do halfway." Clara stopped walking, looking up at him. "That's a lot of pressure for a first date." "I know. But I believe in honesty. I've been interested in you since the day you brought me those reports, professional and thorough and trying not to look intimidated. I've watched you transform over these months, and I've fallen for who you are." His thumb brushed across her knuckles. "So if you're looking for something light and temporary, I'm not your guy. But if you want something real, I'm here." Her heart was pounding so hard she could hear it. "I want something real." He kissed her then, soft and careful, like she was something precious. Clara melted into it, her hands sliding up to his shoulders. When they broke apart, she was breathless. "Come on," Nathan said, his voice rougher. "Let me take you home before I forget I'm trying to be a gentleman." He walked her to her door and kissed her again, slower this time, deeper. Clara felt like she was glowing from the inside out. "I'll call you tomorrow," he promised, and left her standing in her doorway, dazed and happy. Sunday morning, her mother called. Clara let it ring. Half an hour later, her mother called again. Clara answered. "Hi, Mom. Finally, where have you been? I've been trying to reach you." "I was busy." "Too busy for family. Clara, Danielle needs help with the seating chart today." "Can you come over?" "No, I have plans." "What plans could possibly be more important than your sister's wedding?" Clara took a breath. "My own life, Mom." Silence. Then icily, "I see. Well, I hope whatever you're doing is worth disappointing everyone who loves you." The call ended. Clara sat holding the phone, waiting for the crushing guilt. It came, but lighter than before. Because last night Nathan had looked at her like she hung the moon. This morning she had woken up happy, and for once that mattered more. Nathan called that afternoon. They talked for an hour about nothing and everything. He made her laugh. She made him laugh. It was easy and warm and felt like coming home. Over the next few weeks, they fell into a relationship that felt both brand new and completely natural. Nathan was attentive and affectionate, texting her throughout the day and planning thoughtful dates. He introduced her to his friends, brought her coffee in the mornings, and kissed her like she was oxygen. At work, they maintained professionalism. Nathan made sure Clara received credit for her work and never let their relationship affect business decisions. But after hours, he was hers, completely and entirely. Her family's disapproval was palpable. When Clara mentioned she was seeing someone, her mother's response was cool. "I hope he understands that you have family obligations." "He understands that I have a life," Clara corrected. Danielle was worse. "You're seeing someone now, during my wedding planning. Clara, your timing is incredibly selfish." "The world doesn't stop because you're getting married," Clara said, surprised by her own boldness. Danielle hung up on her. Marcus called to lecture her about family loyalty. Clara hung up on him. The wedding was 3 weeks away when Danielle called demanding that Clara spend the entire week before helping with final preparations. Clara said no. Danielle had a meltdown. Their mother called crying. Their father left a voicemail saying he was disappointed in who Clara had become. It hurt. Clara cried in Nathan's arms that night, feeling guilty and terrible and like a bad person. "You're not bad," Nathan said firmly, holding her close. "You're healthy. You're setting boundaries. That's not cruel, it's necessary. They're my family, and they should want you to be happy. If they only value you for what you do for them, that's not love. That's exploitation." The words were harsh but true. Clara was starting to see clearly for the first time. Her family had trained her from childhood to prioritize their needs above her own. They had wielded guilt like a weapon, keeping her compliant and available. She had held the rope for years, strangling herself with it. It was time to let go. The week before Danielle's wedding, Clara offered to help with specific tasks. She would attend the rehearsal dinner. She would be there for the wedding. But she was not available for daily crisis management. Danielle refused to speak to her. Her mother called her ungrateful. Marcus told her she was tearing the family apart. Nathan held her through each phone call, reminding her that she was not responsible for their feelings. That boundary setting felt like cruelty only to people who benefited from her having none. The wedding day arrived. Clara attended alone, Nathan having offered to come but Clara feeling it was better if he did not meet her family yet. The day was tense. Danielle was cold. Her mother barely spoke to her. Marcus ignored her entirely. During the reception, her mother cornered her. "I hope you're happy. You've ruined this entire experience for your sister." "I showed up," Clara said evenly. "I've been supportive. What I haven't done is sacrifice my entire life for a party. It's not a party, it's a wedding. Family is supposed to matter, it does matter, but so do I." Her mother looked at her like she did not recognize her. "You've changed. That man has changed you." "No, he helped me see who I've always been. There's a difference." Clara left the reception early. She drove to Nathan's house, where he answered the door in jeans and a t-shirt, comfortable and perfect. He took one look at her face and pulled her inside. "That bad. Worse." She collapsed onto his couch. "My mother basically disowned me. My sister wouldn't look at me. I feel like the worst person alive." Nathan sat beside her, pulling her against his chest. "You're not. You're someone who finally chose yourself. That's not villainous, it's brave." "It doesn't feel brave." "It never does, but Clara." He tilted her face up to his. "I'm so proud of you. You fought for your life. You've claimed space for yourself. That takes incredible strength." She kissed him, pouring all her gratitude and fear and love into it, because she did love him. Somewhere between design meetings and late-night conversations and the way he saw her for who she truly was, she had fallen completely. "I love you," she whispered against his mouth. Nathan pulled back, his gray eyes intense. "Say that again." "I love you." He kissed her deeply, his hands framing her face. "I love you too, so much. You're everything." They made love that night, tender and passionate, claiming each other completely. Afterward, Clara lay in Nathan's arms feeling like she had finally found home. The following months were a revelation. Without the constant drain of family demands, Clara flourished. She completed the rebrand to widespread acclaim. Nathan promoted her to creative director, giving her a team and real authority. Her designs won awards. She built a reputation. Her relationship with Nathan deepened. They moved in together after 6 months, finding a beautiful apartment with space for both of them to work. He supported her ambitions while pursuing his own. They balanced each other, two strong people building something stronger together. Her family eventually reached out, though the relationships remained strained. Her mother sent a stiff apology email. Danielle called to say she had been too focused on the wedding to see Clara's perspective. Marcus remained distant but civil. Clara accepted their overtures but maintained her boundaries. She saw them occasionally on her terms. She no longer dropped everything when they called. She no longer carried guilt for having her own life. A year after they met, Nathan proposed. He did it simply at home, just the two of them. "Marry me. Build a life with me. Let me spend every day showing you how extraordinary you are." Clara said yes through happy tears. They married 6 months later in a small ceremony with close friends. Clara invited her family, who attended but remained uncomfortable with how much she had changed. Clara did not care. She was too busy being happy. Nathan's vows made her cry. "You taught me what real strength looks like, not domination but self-knowledge, not control but boundaries. You're the bravest person I know, and I'm honored to be your husband." Clara's vows were equally heartfelt. "You helped me see the rope I was holding. You taught me I could let go. You showed me that I matter. I love you for seeing me when I couldn't see myself." They honeymooned in Italy, 2 weeks of wine and laughter and freedom. Clara felt lighter than she had in her entire life. Back home, they settled into married life with easy contentment. Nathan continued leading the company to new heights. Clara launched her own design consultancy on the side, building a client base that appreciated her vision. 2 years into their marriage, Clara got pregnant. The news filled them both with joy and terror. Nathan was attentive throughout the pregnancy, attending every appointment and reading parenting books like they were business manuals. When Clara told her family, her mother's response was emotional. "A grandchild. Oh, Clara, I'm so happy for you." "Thank you, Mom. I know things have been difficult between us. I want to do better. I want to be part of this baby's life." Clara considered carefully. "I want that too, but it has to be healthy, Mom. Boundaries stay. I'm not returning to how things were." "I understand. I'll try." It was not perfect, but it was progress. Their daughter was born on a sunny morning in May, 7 pounds of perfection. They named her Sophie. Nathan cried when he held her, this powerful man reduced to awed tears by a tiny baby. Clara watched him with their daughter and fell in love all over again. He was gentle and devoted, approaching fatherhood with the same intensity he brought to everything. Her family visited, meeting Sophie with appropriate excitement. Her mother was better, respecting Clara's wishes about visiting hours and boundaries. Danielle, now pregnant herself, seemed to finally understand why Clara had fought so hard for her own life. "I'm sorry," Danielle said quietly while holding Sophie, "for how I treated you. I was so focused on what I wanted that I didn't see what I was taking from you." "I forgive you," Clara said, and meant it. Healing was not linear, but it was happening. Sophie grew into a bright, curious toddler. Clara and Nathan balanced work and parenting with the same teamwork they brought to everything. They had hard days and exhausting nights, but they had each other. On Sophie's 2nd birthday, Clara stood in their backyard watching Nathan chase their daughter around while she shrieked with laughter. Her family was there too, her parents and siblings, interacting more naturally than they had in years. Emma and Clara's other friends were present, relationships rebuilt through consistent effort. Clara thought about the woman she had been 4 years ago, so lost and burdened she could barely breathe. She thought about the rope she had been holding, wound so tight around her own neck she had not recognized it for what it was. Nathan had helped her see it, but she had been the one to let go. He caught her eye across the yard and smiled, that warm, private expression reserved only for her. Clara smiled back, her heart full. That night, after everyone left and Sophie was asleep, Clara and Nathan sat on the couch together, tired and content. "Happy?" Nathan asked, pulling her close. "Unbelievably," Clara said. "Thank you." "For what?" "For seeing me, for helping me see myself." Nathan kissed her temple. "You did the hard work. I just reminded you that you could." Clara turned to look at him, this man who had changed her entire life by believing in her worth. "I love you so much." "I love you too. Always." They sat together in the quiet house, their daughter sleeping upstairs, their future bright and unfolding. Clara had fought for this life, claimed it piece by piece. She had learned to say no, to set boundaries, to value herself as much as she valued others. She had let go of the rope, and in doing so, she had found freedom. Years passed with the beautiful mundanity of a well-lived life. Clara's design consultancy grew into a thriving firm. Nathan expanded the company into international markets. Sophie started school, bright and confident, raised by parents who showed her that love meant support, not sacrifice. They had a second child, a son they named James, who had Nathan's gray eyes and Clara's creative spirit. The house filled with noise and love and the sweet chaos of family life. Clara's relationship with her parents and siblings stabilized into something healthier. They saw each other regularly, but Clara no longer carried the weight of their expectations. She was gracious but firm, loving but boundaried. Her family adapted, learning to appreciate her presence rather than demand her servitude. One evening, nearly 7 years after that first dinner date, Clara and Nathan sat on their back porch while the kids played inside. The sun set in brilliant colors, painting the sky in purples and golds. "Do you ever think about how different things could have been?" Clara asked, leaning against Nathan's shoulder. "If you had not said no that first time, if you had stayed trapped." "Yes." Nathan was quiet, his arm around her. "I think about it sometimes. How easy it would have been for you to stay stuck, how much strength it took to break free." "I almost did not," Clara admitted. "Stay stuck, I mean. It felt impossible to change. But you did it anyway. That's what courage is. Doing the impossible thing because the alternative is worse." Clara thought about that 26-year-old woman, exhausted and hollow, convinced her only value was in what she could provide others. She barely recognized her anymore. "I'm glad you pushed me," she said softly. "I'm glad you refused to let me settle. I'm glad you listened." Nathan kissed the top of her head. "You saved yourself, Clara. You decided you mattered. That decision changed everything." Inside, Sophie called for them. They stood together, hand in hand, and walked back into their beautiful, imperfect, hard-won life. Clara had learned the most important lesson of all. Love should not feel like a leash. It should feel like wings. And the people who truly loved her would never ask her to stay small so they could feel big. She had let go of the rope, and she had learned to fly. The years continued their gentle march. Clara's firm became known for innovative, bold designs. Nathan's company won industry awards for workplace culture and ethical practices. Their children grew confident and kind, raised in a home where boundaries were respected and individual needs mattered. Clara never forgot the lessons she learned. She taught Sophie and James that it was okay to say no, that their needs were valid, that helping others should never come at the cost of destroying yourself. She showed them, through living example, what healthy love looked like. Nathan remained her partner in every sense. They grew together, adapting as life threw challenges their way. They argued sometimes, disagreed on parenting approaches or business decisions, but they always came back to the foundation of respect and genuine care that had built their relationship. On their 10th wedding anniversary, Nathan planned a surprise trip back to Italy. They left the kids with Clara's parents, who had become genuinely involved grandparents, and flew to the coast. Walking along the same beaches they had explored on their honeymoon, Nathan stopped and turned to Clara. "You know what I love most about you?" he asked. "What?" "Your strength. Not the kind you had to build to break free, though that was impressive, but the everyday strength. The way you live authentically. The way you've taught our kids to value themselves. The way you've created a life that actually fits you." Clara felt tears prick her eyes. "You made that possible." "No," Nathan took her hands. "I witnessed it. You made it possible. You chose yourself. That was all you." Clara kissed him, tasting salt air and love and gratitude. "We made it possible together. You showed me I deserved better. I did the work to get it. That's partnership." "That's love," Nathan corrected. They stood together watching the sunset, two people who had found each other at exactly the right moment. Nathan had needed someone genuine in a world full of people who wanted things from him. Clara had needed someone who saw her value when she could not see it herself. They had built something beautiful. Not perfect, never perfect, but real and honest and deeply, profoundly good. When they returned home, Sophie and James rushed to greet them, full of stories about their week with their grandparents. Clara's mother smiled warmly, a real smile, and told them the kids had been wonderful. "Thank you for watching them," Clara said, hugging her mother. "It was our pleasure." "Really?" Her mother hesitated. "Clara, I'm proud of you, of the life you've built. I know I didn't make it easy, but you did it anyway. You're an amazing mother and wife and businesswoman. I should have told you that years ago." Clara blinked back tears. "Thank you, Mom. That means a lot." It was not everything. Years of complicated history could not be erased by one conversation. But it was something. It was progress. That night, after the kids were in bed, Clara and Nathan sat together in their bedroom. She watched him read a business report, his reading glasses perched on his nose, and felt overwhelming contentment. "What?" he asked, noticing her staring. "Nothing, just thinking about how happy I am." Nathan set aside the report and pulled her close. "Good, you deserve to be happy. So do you." "I am. Every day with you is exactly what I want." They made love slowly, tenderly, two people who knew each other completely. Afterward, Clara lay in Nathan's arms, listening to his heartbeat, and thought about journeys and destinations and the courage it takes to choose yourself. She had been holding the rope for so long she had forgotten it was there. Nathan had helped her see it. But she had been the one to unwind it from around her neck, to step free, to breathe. That was the gift. Not rescue, but recognition. Not salvation, but support. Nathan had not saved her. He had reminded her she could save herself. And she had. Clara drifted toward sleep, secure in the knowledge that she had built a life worth living. She had found work that fulfilled her, raised children who felt loved unconditionally, and created a marriage based on mutual respect and genuine partnership. She had learned to say no, to set boundaries, to value herself as much as she valued others. She had let go of the rope. And in doing so, she had found freedom, love, and a happiness she had once believed impossible. That was enough. More than enough. That was everything.